the hypocrisy. We all expected this, didn't we? A reminder, a win for a woman doesn't always mean a win for women. Having more women in Congress is great, but Karen Handel isn't pro-women. Something to keep in mind that when the left says you're anti-woman, it actually means you're anti-feminist, not anti-woman. And when they say they're pro-women, it just means they're pro-feminist, not actually pro-women. Because this is how it works. If there's a left-wing candidate that's a woman and you oppose her, you're a sexist. If there's a right-wing candidate and you like her, you're a sexist because she's anti-woman. Anyway, let's go through this. Donald Trump Jr. wants you to know that newly elected Republican Representative Karen Handel is a woman. Donald Trump Jr. tweets, Karen Handel becomes first woman representative Georgia has sent to Congress. Still waiting for the glass ceiling stories, or do conservatives not get them? Valid point. Apparently, she does point out that Karen Handel is not the first woman Georgia has sent to Congress. That's actually false. There's been two. She is the second. The first was Democrat Florence Revelle Gibbs, who served from 1939 to 1941. So that's wrong. I guess he got it from Karen Handel herself. Apparently, she said the same thing. But anyway, what is clear is that Trump Jr. is frustrated that Handel is not being celebrated as a feminist glass ceiling breaker simply for being a woman. That's a valid point. Handel herself made a point to note that she is the first Republican woman Georgia is sending to Congress. At the end of her acceptance speech, she said, "The largest cheers. Tomorrow the real work will begin. The hard work of governing and doing that in a civil, responsible way is in the best interest of every Georgian, every 6th District citizen, and every citizen in the United States of America as we prepare to send Georgia's first Republican woman to Congress." So yeah, that's where he got it from. So she's wrong, and he didn't, probably because she's a politician, and he didn't fact check. He just said it, that whatever. Next, it's certainly admirable to see that the Republican Party is sending more women to Congress, given that the party has an even more dismal gender gap than the Democrats do. Point. Overall, women tend to support much more left-wing policies. Theoretically, this is because women tend to think much more with their feelings. Men tend to be much more cold-hearted, like, I don't care about the feelings, I care about the facts. I mean, that's just the trends. Obviously, there are exceptions, but that's generally the trends. And since Democrats are much more with the feels, that's why women tend to vote more left-wing. It's not because the right wing is racist, sexist. Anyways, but as Jennifer Wright argued for Harper's Bazaar in May, feminism doesn't mean liking every stupid woman you meet. Oh, that's very feminist of you, calling a woman stupid. Wow. Because if I were to call a woman stupid, that means I hate all women, right? Apparently. But if a feminist says anything bad about a woman, it's because the woman they're referring to is anti-woman. Anyway, now in general, if the woman you dislike is not actively making your life worse, it's probably best to reserve judgment, Wright wrote. Not really bad advice. But if women are opposed to women's rights, if they're cheerfully complacent with sexual harassment or scaling back women's opportunities, if they're going to make life hard work for you and others like you, speak the F out. Don't worry about seeming polite. Just worry about speaking out. Okay. But if women are opposed to women's rights, she's not opposed to women's rights, as we'll get in. She's not opposed to women's rights. She's opposed to radical feminists. If they're cheerfully complacent with sexual harassment, please find me one, public figure that is cheerfully complacent with sexual harassment. I assume you're taking something she said out of context. Cite this, please. Cite. I mean, there's all kinds of citations throughout this article, but you didn't think to cite the cheerfully complacent thing. Or at least this right woman didn't think to. Dear God, it's the hyperbole. It's the hyperbole of this. It's just, oh, you hate women. If you're against us on anything at all, you hate women. It's not that we have a difference of opinion. It's not that we're radicals. It's that you hate women. In that same vein, being a woman does not automatically make you good for womankind, especially if your woman-y career has been dedicated to making life harder and worse for lots of women. Okay. Let's see her examples here as to how this woman is anti-woman. First, Handel supports the repeal of the Affordable Care Act, calling the ACA the single biggest intrusion into the lives of Americans in decades. Yes, opposing the ACA does not make you anti-woman. And the interesting thing is, like, apparently if there's a policy out there that say it does hurt both women and men, that makes you a sexist because it hurts women. It doesn't matter how many women it hurts, just the fact, if it hurts a single woman, even if it hurts like 5 million men and one woman, that makes you a sexist because it opposes women too. Or it hurts women too. That's the line of thinking here. So they're saying she's anti-woman because she opposes Obamacare, the Affordable Health Care Act. So do I need to go into more detail about that? I think we settled that there. She is staunchly anti-abortion. Well, yeah, she's anti-abortion. That doesn't make you anti-woman. I know that's a debate for another time, if that, like, the argument for that, but that does not make you anti-woman. It makes you generally pro-child, pro-fetus. She has a history of supporting strict voter ID laws that disproportionately target people of color. I want to point out that this has nothing to do with women. So she just thought, like, oh, if you're anti-woman, if you're racist, that makes you anti-woman. So she threw out the whole racist thing, nothing to do with women. And the strict voter ID laws thing is, it's not racist. Apparently, it's racist to support voter ID laws, but not ID laws in any other form. Just voting, that's it. That makes you a racist, apparently, which, again, does not mean sexist. And no, this is wrong. Stop. Please stop. Next, she says that she does not support a livable wage. Women are more likely to be employed in low-wage jobs. 2016 Oxfam report found that the 23.5 million people working low-wage jobs in the United States, 19 million are women. And yes, and actually, this proves my point exactly. This disproves your point. Because the thing is, if we were to raise the minimum wage, that generally hurts the people with low-wage jobs because they get fired. If they're not producing a certain amount of wealth, like say if I'm making $8 an hour, and the job I am working produces like $12 an hour value, the company makes $4 an hour of profit off of you. Now there's all kinds of overhead and other costs, so generally they're taking away not that much in pure profit. They're taking away very little. Now say we raise the minimum wage up to $15 an hour. Well, if I'm producing $12 an hour, I mean, there's no way to make that work. I'm going to be fired, period. The job will not exist. So what you're saying is if women are generally working low-wage jobs, supporting a livable wage is going to hurt women more. So it turns out you're actually the sexist here, and not this Karen woman, this Karen Handel. Who would have thought? When Handel was senior VP for policy at the Susan G. Komen Foundation for the Cure, she was a key figure pushing the organization to cut off $700,000 in grant funding for breast exams and other breast cancer-related services at Planned Parenthood clinics. The interesting thing is she was the senior VP for policy at the Susan G. Komen Foundation. I'd say that's pretty pro-women, like senior VP of policy for the Susan G. Komen Foundation. That's incredibly pro-women. Good for her. It's a foundation for women. But of course, they're saying, oh, she's cutting funding for breast exams and other breast cancer-related services. No, she's cutting it because it's Planned Parenthood and they abort babies, and she disagrees with that. That's what she does. It doesn't make you anti-woman. Anyway, this Alyssa Hertzig said, at Donald Trump Jr., sorry, it's just kind of hard to get excited about a woman who wants to gleefully rip healthcare away from women. So, one, we already went through this, gleefully. Where's the gleefully part about this? Two, she doesn't want to take healthcare away from women. She wants to privatize healthcare, at least repeal Obamacare. Whether or not, here's the thing, whether or not she's right about the Affordable Health Care Act being bad, whether she's right about that or not, she's not doing it with malice. She's not doing it because she hates people. Like, that's something to keep in mind. She's doing it because she thinks it's a good policy to repeal. She supports healthcare policies that are not the Affordable Care Act, other policies. It's freaking these people. Yes, Handel is a woman, hooray, but her track record and stated policy priorities do not inspire much confidence that she'll do anything to advance rights and opportunities for other women. Well, you haven't proven that at all. You called her a sexist a few times. You said she's basically anti-woman, which means anti-feminist, not anti-woman. So you said she's an anti-feminist, and then you called her racist. A glass ceiling broken is only worth celebrating if it means something for more than the individual smashing it. Of course, the whole glass ceiling fallacy thing, that doesn't actually exist. Or at least it doesn't exist in the sense that they think it does. That, oh, it's sexist. It's not sexism. And it's funny, since I first read this article, they added a correction. This post has been updated to reflect that Planned Parenthood refers patients out for mammography. So the Susan G. Komen Foundation wants to cut funding for Planned Parenthood for services that they don't provide. Duh. So we should stop giving money to a program that does not do what we're giving it money for. But of course, we expected to see something like this just after a Republican woman won. I mean, I'm not saying I agree with Handel on much at all. I have not looked into her individual policies. But some of this, like, it's just common sense. She is not, as far as I can tell, she's not anti-woman. All of these claims are completely false and make no sense at all. And actually, in fact, the funny thing is, while going through this, we actually proved that the writer of this article is anti-woman because she supports a raise in the minimum wage, which would disproportionately hurt women. That makes her a sexist. At least according to her logic. It's not something I would just say to someone I've just met. Like, hey, you want to raise the minimum wage? Wow, you're such a sexist. This woman would in the article, but I wouldn't say that. But that's about all I got for this article. If you like the video, hit the like button below. Subscribe if you want to see more. I do these at least once a week. Leave a comment if I missed something. Tell me if I have any faulty logic here that you see. Follow me on social media, minds.com/nkreider, twitter.com/libertynac, medium.com/libertynac, facebook.com, fb.me/libertynac. And thank you very much. See you later.